Hello everyone, it's Glenn here in the Bay Ridge section of Brooklyn, New York this Sunday, the 10th of April 2022. I'm not happy today, and I'm conflicting with some things within me. I'm going to talk about it today. You know, you're going to get to a point in your Christian life, in your Christian experience, that the circumstances that still are opposite of the vision God gave you, that is still not fulfilled yet, God's going to put you and I in a position where more circumstances are going to come against us that's still in opposition to what we've been praying about for many, many years. I'm going to be speaking about this today because I'm hurting and I'm upset. I'm mad at God. I'm mad at the circumstance. I don't want to do my business. I was in a rage yesterday. I was upset. I've been sleeping a lot lately. I just don't want to do anything. I've lost all joy of life. You know, Paul got to a point where he said, I would not have you ignorant, brothers. When we came into Asia, we were pressed beyond measure to the point we despaired of life. He did not sound like a happy camper there. He didn't sound like a victorious Christian. He didn't sound like someone who was receiving all the promises of God that were yes and amen to the glory of God in Jesus Christ. He wanted to die. He despaired of life. Have you ever been there as a Christian? When I used to work for a gym some years ago, Dolphin Fitness, it was in 2002 that she came up with her sister in the gym. And as soon as I saw her, I said, immediately, I want to get to know her. Immediately. That's 20 years ago. It wasn't up until 2006 that I first started to pray about her. Before then, we would walk in the neighborhood, we would talk. There's nobody like her. And I saw it. And I said, I want her. But it wasn't until I started to pray about her that the Lord began to deal with me. If the Lord knew, and he did know, all these conflict and all this drama that I've experienced with her, suffering, he knew all about it. He never should have shown it to me, because there has been conflict, there has been drama, there has been suffering in the midst of it. It's been said, I heard someone say, a Christian woman once said, she got to a point where things were happening so contrary in her life. She got to the point where she said to the Father, Son, and Spirit, Lord, it's little wonder you have so few friends when you treat the ones you have so poorly. Now, why was she saying that? She was hurting in her soul. Have you ever felt hurt to the point that you had to express it to God and just to get it out? The wound was so deep in your soul. But this, in my life, has to do with a woman I've been in love with for years and years and years and years and years. And the fruit and manifestation is still not here yet. And you say, well, what brought this on today? Well, a couple of days ago, my friend texted me. Now, there was somebody who she knew here some years back. Well, in 2010, after she and I met for 3.5 hours on Shore Road in a meeting that we had together, she knew some guy who worked at the store, and he knew somewhat of our relationship because I would talk to him about it because I was so hurting. I don't even know I had spoke to the guy, but now I'm starting to see some things in terms of a pattern and how God works. She happened to meet him a couple of days after we left in our meeting together. And she was saying, you know, he keeps calling me. He wants to go out with me. He says, why don't you go speak with him? Why don't you give him a chance? She said to him, knowing probably that it was going to get back to me, when I'm ready, I'll call him. That was 10 years ago. Well, I get a text from my other friend who happens to know this guy, and as it turns out, he said she's in the neighborhood again, and her mother passed away, and she met this guy who happens to be named Dave, and she told Dave that she's going to be moving to Florida with her sister. And she's here to visit, staying with a friend. Now, God made sure that she met Dave, and Dave was going to tell my other friend who texted me all this. I looked at my phone, I put it down, and since then, I've been in an angry rage, upset. I'm 65 years young. I want to say young because that's the way I feel, but I'm getting older. And even though if she does go to Florida, I'm like, Lord, you told me she was going to come looking for me. You told me she's going to come to seek me out. I put myself on the line here on the internet since 2007. And now you have to let me see this text, a conflicting reality again, 180-degree opposite in experience. I have to see it again. Pain and suffering. No trial at the moment seems joyful, but grievous and full of pain. This is where I am right now. In the midst of when God first showed me, here I am. The manifestation is toward the end somewhere. At the end it will not lie, but speak. The vision. Being yet for an appointed time. Though it linger long, wait for it, it'll surely come. At the end it will not lie, but speak. So what did I do? I said, well, Lord, make a way that she'll stay here. Prevent her from going to Florida. He could do that after I pray, and I can believe the results have to be in God's hands. If there's a reason that she's supposed to go to Florida that I don't know yet, she's going to go. But my prayer is the Lord will prevent it if there's a way. Friends, the promise that God gave me involves a woman that I'm in love with. And hope and love that is deferred has gotten my soul and heart sick for years. And God showed me it was going to be this way. And I'm right here in the midst of the drama of it all unfolding. Because the thing is, I know in my soul and in my heart, she does have love feelings for me. And I know that as I pray, I know God's been working in her. And he's working in her to feel the same way about me that I feel about her. And it's going to be so strong in her, she's going to have no choice but to come looking for me. The way I used to come looking for her. She's going to do the same with me. At some point, I don't know when. I wish I knew when, because I'm tired of the process. The process is weary. The process has worn me down. To the point where I'm tired of it. I'm not giving up, but I'm tired of it. You heard what I said. I'm not giving up. Which is why I was in a rage. The rage is a way of saying, I am not giving up. I'm fighting with you, God. I'm fighting with you here. I will not let you go until you bless me the way you promised. You said she's coming back. You said she would, to me, we will be together. Like the angel of the Lord and Jacob wrestling, I will not let you go until you bless me, until you finish and give me her, until you bring us together, until you sufficiently work in her to cause her to come knocking on my door looking for me. Well, I don't have to go looking for her. She'll come looking for me. And I'm going to pray this every damn day until it happens. Now, if you're one of those Christians that don't like how I'm speaking, may God put you in a situation and a circumstance where he'll bring out everything in you that he's bringing out in me. So you could see we're all the same when it comes to this. I just happen to be more sincere than most professing Christians you're ever going to meet. I still believe, of course, the promise, because there's just no way I'm giving up on her. I am never giving up on her, ever. I don't care where she goes. She could go to the Venus, she can go to Pluto and Saturn for all I care. It's all going to happen somehow, someday, some way. You know, Barbra Streisand sang a song years ago. There's a time for us, somewhere a time for us. Peace and quiet and open air waits for us somewhere. If you were me, you would be exactly what I am. If you knew what I went through and experienced with all the signs that God showed me, and I was thinking today about the signs, the day of the signs that God gave, not only for me, but for others around me, you would be frustrated too today. Some years back, I was speaking to a realtor friend of mine in the neighborhood at his real estate office, who I had personally trained as a personal trainer in the gym I used to work at, where I met her and her sister some years ago. And I remember the day I was talking to him. I said, Bill, I believe God has shown me she's going to be coming into my life one day. I believe it's going to happen. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I just know in my heart that it's going to happen. Now, she used to live a couple of blocks away. While I'm speaking to him, and his real estate office was off the avenue on the side street, okay? As I'm talking to him about what I believe God had shown me, and that I'm trusting him to bring us together one day, she came with her dog, because she used to walk her dogs in the neighborhood. She could have been anywhere in this neighborhood walking a dog. She just happened to pass by exactly the moment I'm saying out of my mouth to my friend Bill, I believe God has shown me she's going to be coming into our lives one day. And I looked, and she passed by. She didn't see me inside. She went down the block. I said, Bill, that's her. What? I said, that's her. I was just talking to you about her. His exact words to me were, is God trying to tell us something? I knew that was a sign from God. Another day, I'm outside the house here with my friend who I knew from my gym days, who I've known since 1997. We were parked outside. He had driven me home from somewhere. And I remember we were having a conversation, and I was talking to him about her. I said, Rich, I believe God has shown me that this woman I've been talking to you about is going to come into my life one day. And I believe God showed me. I said, it's going to happen one day. As those words are coming out of my mouth, now we're parked in front of the house. Now she could have been anywhere at that moment in this big old earth of God. As I'm speaking and saying these words out of my mouth to him in the car, I look out the window. Here she comes down the block, the same side of the street where we were, and was going to pass the house I live in here. And she's walking down the block with her sister. The same sister who came up with her in the gym when I first met her in 2002. My mouth, I said, Rich, that's her. Well, she couldn't see in because there's kind of like a black tint to the window. I said, Rich, that's her. He looked at me. He said, did she see you? I said, no, but that's her. Tell me, what would you think if you were me with those two incidences? While you're saying you believe God showed you this woman will come into your life one day, and she just happens to pass by, wouldn't you believe that is a sign from God? Orchestrated steps. Her steps were directed those two times. My steps were directed that day to make those 2 days to make sure I would be in the real estate office. God made sure I'd be there speaking to Bill about her and made sure she would pass by, or outside the house here, making sure that my friend Rich would drive me home just at the right precise time, knowing God would make sure she would come down the block with her sister while I'm speaking to him about what I believe God showed me about her coming. And then to top it all off, I've been speaking about how she felt like she needed to get a restraining order against me. And there's so much I could tell you. Hurting people hurt other people. Hurting women will hurt other people. And it happened to catch up with me. I spent 84 days in Rikers Island. And because of it, I'm not going to get into all the variables here, but the 2 docket numbers were dismissed. I never was indicted. I was a pre-trial detainee in Rikers for 84 days in 2013. I never was indicted. I never appeared before a grand jury. I was never convicted. I was never tried. And I don't want to get into all the ramifications. Just a miracle of how I'm still here talking to you is just that God delivered me. And I knew even when I was in Rikers, someday, some way, she would still come. Even with my disobedience to God, who had warned me to leave her alone, which I wasn't doing. I was writing love letters and kept writing love letters and kept writing love letters. And then she called the police, and she called multiple times against me. And that was what she knew how to do, to restrain me, because I wasn't listening to God to stop, because he was warning me to leave her alone. So here I was saying, Lord, you know something? You knew I was going to be this way. It was going to be as hard as hell to leave her alone. That the love in me would be so great, it would just cause me to disobey your warnings to leave her alone. You shouldn't have given me the promise. You shouldn't have put it in my heart, because you're seeing now, you are reaping the fruit and results of what you knew you were going to get with me. And yet, he delivered me out of a horrible pit. What I'm trying to say is in 2015, the 2 docket numbers were dismissed, and then there was a 2-year order protection levied against me just to keep staying away from her. And I complied completely with the court system. In 2015, right in the midst of the 2-year order of protection, she kept coming down the block I live, over and over and over again. And of course, I'm saying to myself, if she wants me to stay away, and she at that time lived 6 blocks away, if she felt like she had to restrain me from staying away from her, why does she keep coming down the block? And a witness to this was my landlady, who knew her from a store, a grocery store that my landlady and her family used to have some years back. The woman I'm in love with used to come into the store, and so they got to know each other that way. Well, as it turned out, the miraculous hand of God gave me favor with this family here. They kept this apartment while I was there for 84 days. It could have been to the point where I could have lost everything, friends. I could have lost this place. But God gave me favor. I had a friend of mine, my friend George, who spoke to Dave the other day, and Dave, who got it from her that she's moving to Florida, told my friend George, who told me. My friend George was helping me behind the scenes, handling all of my affairs during those days. God gave me favor to keep this place, even though I disobeyed the Lord's warning to leave her alone, that I was going to make it worse. And I did. I have no one to blame but myself, because that's all she could have been. She was so hurt and wounded by other relationships, not sure of herself, not sure of men, wanting to go for it, but because she's been hurt and wounded and traumatized somewhere. And so hurt that me going after her caused her to do what she has done to 4 men in her life, orders of protection against them all, 2 at the same time. 2 at the same time, me and somebody else. That shows you how hurt she was. She felt like in those years, that's the only thing she knew to protect herself. She couldn't find any other way to protect herself. She was so filled with fear and anxiety over any relationship, which I didn't think was going to hit me. You know how what I was thinking in those years of my friendship with her? I will be I will be her healer. I'll love her to health. She'll see I won't string her along. I'll be there for her. I'll love her. I'll be kind to her, gracious to her, respectful, and all the rest. It didn't work. Even though, I wrote it all that beautiful way in the letters. I want to marry you one day. I'll wait for you. You're worth waiting for. You're a beautiful woman. And yes, I got sexual with her in the letters. I was really very sexual. What things I'd like to experience with her, but I kept saying in the letters, in marriage only, and this would not happen until we're married. I said, I want you to see what you're getting here. If you're going to decide to be with me, this is what you have with me. I'm very expressive. I'm going to be. I want to be very communicative with you. I want to do things every day. I want to spend time with you. I want to be very loving toward you. I want to learn to listen to you. I want to be very sexual with you. I said, but this is all going to happen when it's supposed to. And I would tell her this in the letters. Sometimes I would write 28 pages because I had a lot to say. Hope deferred gets the heart sick. I didn't want it bottled up anymore in me. I had to express it. I kept expressing. And it was very therapeutic for me to write the letters to her, knowing she's reading this. Nobody ever wrote and spoke to her this way before. Nobody. And I told her, I said, I want you, when we had a meeting live in 2010, I remember saying to her, I want you to compare me with all the guys you know. And then you ask yourself if I'm the kind of guy you want to be with. You say, why did she have a meeting with you? because she agreed to it after I kept pushing her to meet. She says, I just want to be at peace with this. She couldn't understand why I kept going after her. And this is the conflict I had. I knew what God had shown me. I knew all the signs. And yet she was 180-degree opposite in a frame of mind that was totally opposite the vision. So I kept looking at her through the window of the glasses of God's promise. All I could see was his promise. And when God shows you something, when he shows me something, it's 180-degree opposite. And it's going to be that way for a long period of time. And I was daily frustrated. I was weekly frustrated. I was monthly frustrated. I was yearly frustrated. Sometimes it would just produce this rage within me. Well, third sign, third day, that was a third day of a sign. The first day of a sign was my friend Bill at the realtor office. The second day for the sign was when she came by. I'm speaking to my friend Rich outside the house. Third day, I was talking to my landlady outside on a beautiful summer day, and I was telling her, I'm sorry I did this. I caused her and myself all this harm. I should have listened to God's warning. I'm speaking to my landlady like this. I should have left her alone. As I'm saying to my landlady, but I'm still trusting God to bring us together one day. Because I believe he has shown me she's going to come looking for me. As I'm speaking and saying these things, here she came across the street down the block with her dog. This is while the order of protection was in effect, friends. The 2-year order of protection that the court levied against me after the 2 docket numbers were dropped. My landlady saw her, and I said, you see, as I'm talking to you about her, and what I believe God has shown me, there she is. And my landlady took note of that. She never forgot that. We speak about that on occasion. If you were me, what would you think? Wouldn't you think that, God, if you didn't want her and me to meet, knowing I was put in jail because she felt like she needed to get me out of her hair, when you said leave her alone, I want you to think about this. I want to marry her. She's not ready. I've been conflicted. I disobeyed you, Lord, to leave her alone. Why would you bring it down the block in 2015, Lord, when I'm speaking to my landlady about you and her and what I believe you had shown me, Lord, about her? And that's exactly what happened. And before God, I tell you the truth. It's the truth. These 3 witnesses can testify that I'm telling the truth. My friend Bill, my friend Rich, and my landlady. And I have spoken to all 3 of them numerous times about that day since. Remember when I spoke to you? My friend Rich is not a believer. He's a womanizer. But God made sure that he saw that day I'm speaking to him about Jesus, and I believe Jesus is going to bring her into my life one day. She comes down the block while I'm speaking to him. Same with my friend Bill. Same with my landlady Hayat. Well, of course I believe. That's just why I don't give up. This is why I fight with God. You are the one who brought her down the block. Or twice where I live, while I'm speaking about you, Lord, or in front of the realtor office. You did this. You orchestrated this. I had no idea it was going to be any of these places those days. I wasn't planning it. I didn't get up to decide just to be at the realtor's office or my friend Rich. God made sure my steps were directed. Doesn't it say the steps of a man are ordered of the Lord? See, so now I'm at a place where I need fresh insight from God. I need him to put it in my mind. Because God knew I was going to hear this, that she's moving to Florida. How would you feel? Wouldn't you be upset? Wouldn't you be angry? In a rage? When you saw all these signs and you hear she's moving to Florida? Conflicting circumstances. A conflicting word to the word of the Lord in my heart and in the signs that he gave me. The word of the Lord to me was she's coming back. The signs along the path proved it to me, confirming the word of the Lord in my spirit that he gave me. The word of the Lord to me is she's coming back. And after you pray, I made a, I'm going to upload it here. I'm going to upload it on the internet, The Power of Persevering Prayer that I made some years ago, and another series I'm going to upload here. And I ask that you watch it. It'll encourage you. The prayer life of Elijah. I'm going to upload them both. I'm going to get them out of my Google OneDrive and upload them here, and I'm going to put the links as a playlist for both. The Power of Persevering Prayer and The Prayer Life of Elijah. And you're going to see what I went through back in those years, 2008 and 2009. I've been waiting a long time, friends, on God for her. And of course, those thoughts come into my head. Lord, now you're going to take her away from me further to Florida? Is she there just for a season and will come back up? I don't know, friends. I don't know. What I can tell you is her steps are ordered. So am I. And I knew in my heart that was the day we were supposed to meet, because she wasn't ready to reconcile that day. I was hoping for it. But God made sure we met that day. And I said, okay, let me ask you this. You say you believe in Jesus. I said, I can understand. I will honor you that way. Of course, I didn't honor her afterwards because I kept going after her. But I said, you're going to find out where Jesus wants you to be in your life. And she said to me, yes, that's true. So I then said to her, would you be willing to ask Jesus if I am the one that he has for you? You know why I asked her that? Because I knew she had feelings for me. She told me she did. I asked her, I said, you know, you have feelings for me. I said, I know they're there in you. And she admitted it, but she just couldn't go with it. She just wasn't ready. I said, would you be willing to ask Jesus? And the reason I asked her that is because I knew the signs. The first two signs I had already had with my friend Bill and Rich. This is 2010. 2010. I'm asking her on Shore Road here in Brooklyn. In a beautiful summer day. August 19, 2010. And she looked around, she thought about it, and she said, yes. With all of my flaws and all of my mistakes, she saw something in me enough to say that she was willing. to ask Jesus if her destiny for a husband was me. Last time I saw her was one time in 2016. I just happened to be coming out of a place on Fifth Avenue, and she just happened to pass by, and the Lord made sure that she did not see me, but he did it for my sake, just to let me see her. I haven't seen her since 2016. I was hoping this would be the month. I was hoping this would be the year. I haven't prophesied any day or any year or any season, but I was hoping this would be the month. And then what do I hear this month? She may be going to Florida. I had this apartment fixed up last couple of months. Got my business, got myself together here. I'm going to have a good business. I have money saved so that when she comes back, I'll be progressing in my life and my faith in God to bless my business financially so I can take care of her financially. And then I hear this. I went over here. See that closet right here? I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you what I did yesterday. I was so mad. I was like this, in a rage toward God, yelling and screaming, just screaming and yelling out of frustration. All this anger and rage came out of me. The place has been fixed up. Don't mind I'm just drying off some clothes. I have things look nice, much better, clean. That's my couch. I could turn up into a bed. Got a new printer, new closet there in the corner. Okay, new closet. I'm sorry about this. I got new shelf, new cabinets there, and that's a workout bench. Kitchen's been cleaned up, looks nice. New cabinet, keyboard, and this is my workstation here. Here's my workstation. And God says, let me just get this back here. This is what God says. It is not good. It is not good that man should be alone. I'll make a helpmate suitable. So here I am saying, the last couple of days, Lord, I don't want to do my business. I don't care about it. I don't care about the money. I don't care about anything. What? Because I need a reason, a why, a purpose. And it's not good that she's not back. What good is it just for me? I don't want to do my business. I don't care how rich, I don't care how much money God would give me from it. What good is it if she's not with me? Just to be alone? And to have nobody? You said, Lord, it's not good that a man should be alone. And you said, I'll make a helpmate suitable. I've been asking God and praying that way, in that vein, about her for all of these years. Make her a helpmate suitable for me, and make me suitable for her, no matter how many wounds and how many sores are in her life, and how traumatized she's been, and how against the idea about me she's been. Change her. Work in her by the Holy Spirit. Bring it to yourself. Clean out her hurts. Heal her sores and her wounds. Those putrefying sores and wounds that you say in Isaiah chapter 1. get it to health. I'll restore health and healing to her. Take out that heart of stone and give her a heart of flesh, and then bring it to me. Friends, this takes faith that I'm clay and she's clay in his hands. And of course, we've had demonic attacks come against both of us as I'm trusting the Lord and fighting the good fight of faith for her, fighting in prayer, fighting for her, fighting for it by believing. I'm fighting, and I'm fighting today. That I've been saying for years, as I started to say in 2007, many times you're going to see that the circumstances you're seeing are going to be 180-degree opposite to the vision God has given you. And this has been proven out in true reality in my life again and again and again. And what has gotten tiring, I'm tiring of the pain rising within me. No trial at the moment seems joyful, but grievous and full of pain. But later on, it yields. I'm looking for the yielding fruit of the peaceable fruit of righteousness to those who have been trained by the trial. When it came to Joseph, until his time came to pass, the word of the Lord tested Joseph. I understand what that means. It's one thing to memorize Bible verses. It's quite another thing to throw yourself out there with the living God, Father, Son, and Spirit, and go through the process of God's living activity in your life, and having to go through the conflict, and having to go through the conflict, and having to go through the conflict, and having to go through it, and go through the suffering, and the conflict and the suffering goes on and on and on, as it has for me for 15 years, since God first showed me that she was going to be coming into my life. 15 years of conflict and suffering, just as God showed me. You don't hear me saying, I don't believe this anymore. You don't hear me saying, I want nothing to do with you, God. I want nothing to do with her. No. I'm saying everything I've been saying since I first began to declare it. I will never give up on God and his word to me and her. Never. 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 I have a little Gideon Bible. Where is it? Do I have it here? This thing is so used up. And I remember reading the other day, it said, fulfill your word to your servant by which you've given me hope. My comfort in my affliction is this, your word gives me life. Fulfill your word, Lord, to your servant, by which you've given me hope. I've had hope in my heart for her all of these years. Hope. It says hope never disappoints us in the book of Romans, because the love of God is shed abroad in our hearts by the Holy Spirit. That doesn't mean you're not going to feel human. And that's not going to mean that you're not going to get to a point sometime in your Christian experience you're going to despair of life like Paul did. When we came into Asia, we don't want you to be ignorant, brethren. These circumstances were so pressing on us, we despaired of life. We wanted to die. How many times have we said, Lord, take me home? And I said this to the Lord the other day. I said, if you're not going to bring her back like you promised, I don't want to live anymore. Take me out of here. Take me, because I don't want to live without her for the rest of my life. With her in my spirit, her in my heart, where the love will never end, and I'm going to have to deal with that the rest of my life without having the fulfillment, take me home. If you're not going to do what you say, why show me all these things? Why, if it's just eventually not going to happen? Signs along the path. I have them. I've written them down in journals. And the other day I prayed and I said, Lord, I went to my closet in the back there. I got a couple of staples, little booklets I use for business, and little journal entries about how God has dealt with me in regards to her. And I need to read them to be refreshed and encouraged by what I wrote. And I was saying, even yesterday, I said, Lord, you could bring it to my door today to want to speak with me and to change her mind, to not go to Florida. Now, that doesn't mean that she was going to come, but that was one of the ways I was praying yesterday. And anyway, I knew that God was able to change her mind. Well, here I opened this particular booklet. The first thing I read is, God is in charge, and God is going to cause her to change her mind. And I was like, in this journal right here. Ultimately, that's the truth. That didn't necessarily mean that she was going to come yesterday. Because I'm hoping against hope. Anything's possible. If this is the time, she'll come looking for me. She could have had, you never know what could happen. Maybe she wants to talk about what happened, reconcile, whatever. All these emotions and thoughts, as I laid down, when you're by yourself, all these emotions and thoughts are in your head. I haven't been eating as much lately. I haven't been working out. I just like, what's the use? What's the sense? I'll get up again, but this is where I'm at. I don't try to be something I'm not, friends. I don't try to make myself be something I can't be. It has to be God at work in me more. When you're at the end of yourself, the end of your string, you trust God to show up and work in you when you can't find it in yourself to move forward anymore. When you can't find it in yourself, it's going to have to be God at work in you and I to encourage us. Because he doesn't tell us to hang on. He doesn't tell us to try to believe, because we can't have faith for anything unless he works it in us. It's called the measure of faith. And as a branch cannot bear fruit of itself, no matter how hard you try. And if you can't find it within you, we have to trust God. Hey, Jesus, this is where I'm at today. You don't have to produce the fruit that's not in me right now in my soul. I don't want to be mad at God. I don't want to be mad at you, Lord, but I am. I just mad. And he accepts you like that. He understands. He doesn't say, oh, he's mad at me. He understands. He knew from before the foundation of the world, all my days that are numbered in his book. And he knew that these days, these last several days, were going to be just like this for me. Difficult. It's very difficult. So you know what we have to do? When we get to those days, we just have to live it out. Live out the frustration. Live out the anger. Live out the anger and toward God, that'll subside. The anger with God will subside. The frustration will subside. Who knows if it'll happen again? So I'm asking you who love me, or for prayer warriors, pray for me, but pray more for her. for her healing of her soul. That God will work in her so sufficient that she'll have to come looking for me. The love and the desire for me will be so strong in her that no matter what she is into, no matter where she is, no matter what she's doing, all she can think about is me. Of course, with God first in her life, Jesus first in her life. But all she can think about is me, because God works in her, that she's going to have to come looking for me. Just like she told my other friend, Dave, when I'm ready, I'll come looking for him. How many times I heard, I'm not ready yet, I'm not ready yet. God made sure I heard her say these things years ago. I'm not ready yet. Yet. So, the Lord who showed me years ago the vision for the appointed time, it's all in me, what will be, but everything else has been conflicted. To the point where I even spent 84 days in Rikers Island and still believed anyway, because I disobeyed God, which God knew I was going to do. He knew I was going to write all of these letters. He knew I was going to have to go through the court system, the unified court system. So she and I, through this process, have been through a lot. I could have avoided the problem for her and for me if I had listened to the warning signs of God, but I didn't. But that was 2013. Sometimes I still disparage myself and say, I'm sorry I did this. I wish I never did, because I did make it worse. And I have to go through that and all these ambivalences as well. I have to go through it all. It's part of my process to get through, for the renewing of my mind to take place, for a new day, a brand new day. I've been saying this. I'm trusting a brand new day will dawn for me and for her. A brand new day. The God of restoration, the God of second chances, the God of new beginnings, who says, behold, I make all things new, including her with me and me with her. So that's how I renew my mind even in this season. Most people would give up. Not me. Jacob's love for Rachel was so strong, he never gave up. All the years he waited seemed like nothing for the love he had for her. He waited 14 years to have Rachel, didn't he? If you know the story. I told her I would never give up. She said, why would you do that to yourself? I said, because it's my soul, and if I believe that you and I are supposed to be together one day, I'm willing to wait for you because you're worth it. God made sure she heard me plant good things in her and how I looked at her, in spite of her objections and all the rest. I said very good things to her and in her so she could see I was sincere, that I wanted her and her alone, and I would be faithful for only her. Because to me, she's worth it. Even now, even all that happened between us, I was saying, she's worth it. Even when I was in jail, out of my own stupidity, I was still saying, she's worth it. Some of you say, how can you say that? Because I don't look at things with my natural eye. I look at the things through how God sees things, through his vision. I know why she was the way she was. Because of the way her circumstances caused her to be. A lot of women are traumatized, friends, and hurt by men and relationships. And usually they bring that into the next relationship because it's all going to come out eventually. And the reason why God was telling me to leave her alone is so that he could work in her, so he could heal her, because I can't. Even she used to say to him, Glenn, you can't change me. She saw I was trying to help. Lord, I'm sorry I got mad at you again. But that's how I felt. I don't want to be upset and mad and angry and frustrated like this. But I thank you, you let me vent how I feel. I know you're a good God. I can feel your presence. It's the only way I could know your goodness is because you placed that goodness within me. Because my flesh profits nothing, and everything else that you said is in the heart of man that manifests over time. I don't like going through this. I wish she was back. I didn't like hearing that the other day. She may go to Florida. If there's a way, Lord, I ask you to prevent her from going to Florida and keep her in Bay Ridge. But whatever happens, I will never give up. Weeping endures for a night, but joy will come in the morning when she's back. Watch over her, protect her, keep her from everybody that she shouldn't be around. And I know that there's nobody but her for me and me for her. I know it. Nobody can have her but me. Nobody can have me but her. But that's, I know. You and I both know that's your plan. So, wherever you direct your steps, Lord, for whatever reason, I know she's coming back. If you can direct my steps the way you have, to the people I spoke to 3 times, and she was there, those days of the signs will bring forth eventually the fruit of the day of the manifestation, that the signs were true, to bring forth the current reality of her being with me finally, when she finally comes and shows up out of her own free choice and of her own free will. Even now, I believe, even now, whatever you ask of God, he will give you. As Martha said to you, Lord, when Lazarus was in the tomb for 4 days. Even now, I believe, whatever you ask God, he will give you. For I believe you are the Messiah, the Christ, the Son of God, who has come into the world to give us everlasting life. And then you said to her, did I not tell you, if you would just believe, you would see the glory of God? Lord, let me see your glory. In regards to her, let me see your glory. And it is just as you cried with tears at the tomb of Lazarus, even though you knew that he was going to be risen from the dead. Turn our tears into dancing and our mourning to joy for her and for me, and for everybody who has known about us and our situation. And deal with me and help me. Help her. Cause my mind to see more, because I need encouragement from you. Encourage my soul even after this message is made. Because I'm the first one to always say, men ought always to pray and never give up. Shall not God avenge his own elect who cry out to him day and night, even though he be along with them? Yes, I tell you, he will avenge them speedily. Nevertheless, when the Son of Man comes, speaking of Jesus about himself and his second coming, the Son of Man is the term for the Messiah. Will he find people in faith in the earth? Lord, I can't have her without you. You must be first. And as you said, whoever loves wives or husbands or sons or daughters or mothers or fathers more than me is not worthy of me. You must be number one in my heart and in my soul before her. And I ask you that she makes you number one in her heart and in her mind, which is why the only way she could be healed from the traumas of life, and she would make me number two under you, as I make her number two under you. Husbands, love your wives, even as Christ loved the church and gave himself for it. Husbands, live with your wives with understanding, showing her honor as a fellow heir of the grace of life, so that your prayers will not be hindered. I had to be restrained so that my prayers would not be hindered, so I would show her honor the way she asked me to leave her alone till she was ready. I had to learn. Now, even though I wasn't saying it then, Lord, when I went through the difficulties that I caused, I'm saying it now. It was good I was afflicted that I might learn, to get my hands off the situation, let you do only that which you can do. Whoever finds a wife finds what is good and obtains favor from the Lord. In 2009, God gave me this from the Song of Solomon, chapter 3. By night on my bed, I sought the one I love. I sought him, but did not find him. This is her thinking about me, because God is working in her. I will arise now, I said. I will go about the city, in the streets and in the squares. I will seek the one I love. God was showing me that's exactly what she's going to do. She's going to come looking for me, and God's timing for her, when she's ready, out of her own free choice and of her own free will. I sought him, but did not find him. The watchmen who go about the city found me. I said, have you seen the one I love? I have some ideas about the watchman in terms of what could happen, how God will use other people, what she might say. I don't know how it's all going to work out. All I know is she's going to come looking for me. Scarcely I had passed them when I found the one I love. God's going to make sure she finds me. I held him and would not let him go. And it says, until I had brought him to the house of my mother. Her mother has passed away lately. Pray for her, for healing and her comfort. Into the chamber of her who conceived me. And then God kept stressing this. I charge you, O daughters of Jerusalem, by the gazelles or by the does of the field, do not stir up nor awaken love until it pleases. That's been the frustration. She's not ready. I'm not ready. Don't stir up my love. Don't stir up. Don't try to stir. And I kept trying to stir it up. And that's what got me in trouble. But there's going to come a point when she comes looking for me. She's ready. She'll be ready. Do not stir up, nor awaken love until it pleases. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love bears all things. Love believes all things. Love hopes all things. Love endures all things. Love never fails. Pray for me. Pray for her. And that's all I'm going to say. Look for the links for the video messages I spoke about earlier, and I'll see you guys next time.